Imagine plunging into the endless black of the future deep sea, where sunlight never reaches and pressure crushes everything fragile. In this transformed ocean, warmed by centuries of climate shift, ancient lineages have twisted into something unrecognizable, their mating rituals glowing like forbidden signals in the void. What drives these creatures to seek love amid such hostility, when survival alone seems impossible? We descend slowly, our submersible's lights dimmed to catch the first flickers of life below. Tiny sparks ignite the water, pulsing in patterns too deliberate to be random. These are not fireflies from summer nights, but evolved descendants of ostracods. Sea fireflies bloated by eons of adaptation. Their bodies, armored pods swollen with chemical factories, churn out luciferin and luciferase in perfect harmony. Each flash is a desperate broadcast, screaming, "I am here, I am ready," into the crushing dark. But who listens, and what horrors might answer that call? Bioluminescence rules this realm, a language born from chemistry's cold precision, where light equals life or death. Males gather in twilight zones, their glands swelling with glowing mucus packets, protein bombs that erupt in synchronized waves. Why synchronize, you ask, when solo flashes might suffice? Evolution demands spectacle here, a collective rave to pierce the gloom and drown out rivals' signals. One male spits his luminous slime, a blue ribbon unfurling like a siren's lure, and others join instantly, entrainment rippling across the seafloor. Females, drawn from afar, angle toward the brightest display, their sensors craving that precise rhythm. Yet beneath the beauty lurks unease. What if this unity masks competition too fierce for daylight eyes? In labs of the past, scientists watched these dances falter under artificial light, revealing the ritual's fragility. Tonight, in the future abyss, the show begins without witnesses, save us peering from our fragile shell. The pulses intensify, forming codes unique to each lineage, evolved over 20 million years from defensive tricks to courtship spells. Picture males swaying in unison, vomiting glowing orbs that linger like spectral traps, bait for the unwary heart. Do females judge the pattern's complexity, the mucus endurance, or some hidden scent woven in? Mysteries persist, even in our projections of tomorrow's seas, where scarcity amplifies every signal's stakes. These future fireflies, larger now with reinforced shells, compete in free-for-alls, hundreds flashing as one massive wave crashes over seagrass ruins. The water ignites in cascades of azure, a fireworks display from hell's own orchestra. Predators lurk nearby, drawn by the same glow, turning romance into roulette. How many males burn bright only to feed the feast they've lit? Our descent halts as the grandest cluster reveals itself, a cathedral of light rising from the silt. This is the heart of Act One's revelation, where individual sparks merge into a throbbing mass, hinting at rituals far beyond simple attraction. What evolutionary arms race forged such precision, where one glitch means extinction? Females swim closer, silhouetted against the blaze, their forms alien with elongated antennae tasting the chemical perfume. Males escalate, patterns shifting by distance, frequent bursts for far suitors, slow pulses for the intimate. Entrainment binds them, a neural whisper sinking flashes across the void, defying isolation's curse. Yet dread creeps in. In this eternal night, light betrays as much as it beckons. Scientists once puzzled over shallow sea precursors, but here in the future deep, the dance evolves unchecked. The submersible drifts nearer, lights off, as the glow envelopes us completely. Whispers of horror stir. Is this courtship or a cult's mass trance? Synchronized waves crest higher, males in training like a hive mind, their mucus trails forming hypnotic runes in the current. Females respond, darting through the luminous fog, selecting amid the chaos of competing codes. Why this obsession with timing, precise to nautical twilight's edge? Darkness amplifies their dominance, making them the ocean's sole stars, irresistible beacons in the black. But evolution's knife cuts both ways. Brighter displays invite doom from above. Shadowy forms circle the edges, eyes glinting with opportunistic hunger. Our narrator's voice would hush now, building suspense as the ritual peaks. One female pauses, entranced by a lone male's defiant solo amid the frenzy. His pattern innovates, twisting tradition into something novel, perilous. Does she approach, or does the abyss claim another dreamer? The display swells to frenzy, blue waves propagating like a living heartbeat across the benthic plain. Males repeat the cycle, glands depleting in ecstatic sacrifice, bodies hollowing for one night's glory. Females weave through, brushing suitors, chemical bonds forming in milliseconds. What secrets do these pulses encode? Fertility cues, genetic boasts, or pleas for mercy? In the future's acidic depths, only the most vivid survive, their light a double-edged sword. Horror tinges the awe as we realize the cost. Exhausted males drift away, spent husks for scavengers. Yet life persists, gametes released in glowing clouds, drifting toward uncertain fates. The submersible trembles with a distant rumble. Predators closing in. Transition looms as one surviving pair breaks free, their union a fragile spark plunging deeper. As the mass dance fades, faint echoes linger, mucus orbs pulsing solo like lost souls in the dark. We've witnessed the language of light's raw power, but questions haunt. Does cooperation mask betrayal, or is true unity possible here? Future ostracods, heirs to ancient glows, push boundaries where shallow kin faltered. Their rituals, once mere defenses, now fuel diversification, speciating in light spectrum. Females depart laden with promise. Males fade into oblivion, nature's brutal calculus. Mild terror grips us peering in. What if our own signals, broadcast skyward, draw abyssal replies? The glow dims, pulling us toward unseen depths. One final synchronized burst illuminates horrors below, colossal forms stirring awake. Act 1 closes on this precipice, curiosity aflame. Light's symphony ebbs, leaving whispers in the water, a prelude to greater mysteries cascading downward. These sea fireflies of tomorrow teach resilience, turning darkness into destiny's stage. But as gametes drift and survivors flee, we ponder the abyss's reply. Will fusion await, or fiercer deceptions? The pressure mounts, our lights extinguish fully, surrendering to their world. Heartbeats sync with the fading pulses, mingling with primal fear. Life's drive endures, alien yet achingly familiar, in eternal night. What waits in the cathedral's shadow, pulsing with hungrier intent? The descent continues, unveiling the next twist in deep sea's forbidden romance. From the faint sparks of our descent, one pulse stands out, sharp and insistent, drawing us deeper into the abyss where light itself becomes a weapon and a whisper. This is the language of light, bioluminescence forged in the crucibles of future oceans, where chemical alchemy turns darkness into dialogue. Photophores, those specialized cells swollen with luciferin and luciferase, ignite on command, mixing oxygen into bursts of blue-green fire that pierce the void. Why blue-green, you wonder? Because these wavelengths slice through water like knives, outshining rivals in the spectral war for attention. Males of these evolved ostracod kin swell their glands, bodies trembling as they prepare the first message, a deliberate flash code spelling desire across miles of murk. Females, adrift in isolation, tune their sensors to these rhythms, ancient instincts amplified by eons of scarcity. But in this transformed sea, every signal carries risk. What if the wrong eyes catch the glow? Our submersible hovers, breathless, as the pulse quickens, evolving from solitary beacon to symphony's opening note. Imagine the precision. Enzymes catalyze in milliseconds, light erupting without heat, a cold flame born from proteins honed by survival's forge. These future fireflies, descendants of shallow water dancers, have bloated into armored titans, their shells etched with vents for mucus-laced luminescence. Synchronization grips them now. One male's flash entraining neighbors through some neural echo across the water. Why unite, when solo seduction might suffice in endless night? Evolution whispers of drowned signals, lost in noise without the collective roar. Glands pulse in unison, vomiting glowing orbs that drift like spectral lures, baiting the deep with promises of union. Females stir from hiding, antennae quivering as they decode the pattern's depth, complexity signaling genetic gold. Yet unease builds. This harmony feels too perfect, too hive-like, masking individual hungers beneath the glow. What betrayals flicker in the shadows of such unity? The display escalates, flashes weaving codes unique to lineage, 20 million years of refinement twisted by climate's cruel hand. Males sway in twilight currents, their light trails forming runes that spell fertility, vigor, territory in bioluminescent ink. Do females parse the tempo, the hue's subtle shift, or some pheromone ghost riding the photons? Mysteries veil these exchanges, even as we project tomorrow's depths, where acidification sharpens every edge. One cluster dominates, 100 strong, their synchronized wave crashing over silted ruins like a tidal rave from hell. Azure cascades ignite the black, a fireworks frenzy visible from afar, drowning rivals in sheer spectacle. Predators shadow the edges, drawn inexorably, turning courtship into carnage's prelude. How many suitors shine only to illuminate their doom? Our lens captures the frenzy, hearts pounding in tandem with the rhythm. Deeper we drift, enveloped by throbbing light, where individual pulses merge into a throbbing mass hinting at rituals beyond mere attraction. What arms race birthed this clockwork precision, where a single stutter spells oblivion for bloodlines? Females glide nearer, forms alien with elongated feelers sampling the chemical bouquet beneath the blaze. Males adapt on the fly, bursts frequent for distant admirers, languid throbs for those intimate enough to risk the approach. Entrainment binds the chorus, a subterranean pulse sinking disparate wills against isolation's tyranny. Dread seeps in. Light here is double-edged, beacon and bullseye in one. Past scientists marveled at precursors' dances crumbling under lab glare, but unchecked in future abysses, they thrive feral. The glow swallows our shell whole, whispers of cultish trance echoing in the water. Is this love's code or a siren's summons to slaughter? Waves crest relentlessly, males locked in ecstatic relay, mucus veils hypnotic in the flow. Females dart through luminous haze, brushing candidates, bonds sparking in chemical instants. Why obsess over nautical twilight's edge, timing flashes to the second? Darkness crowns their mastery, stars in a sunless sky, irresistible to wanderers below. Evolution's blade hones both blade and target, vivid displays invite abyssal jaws. Silhouettes prowl peripherally, hunger's glinting opportunistic. Suspense coils as peaks near, one female hesitating before a maverick's twist on tradition. His deviant pattern innovates amid frenzy, bold and hazardous. Does she yield, or claim the dreamer for darker feasts? The mass pulses as one vast heart, alive with peril. Frenzy peaks in blue propagation across benthic flats, males exhausting in sacrificial blaze, husks lightning for glory's eve. Females navigate chaos, selections swift amid clashing signatures. Secrets encode in throbs, potency boasts, lineage maps, mercy's veiled plea. Acidic futures cull the vivid, light a sword slicing weak from worthy. Horror veils awe as toll reveals. Spent males tumble, scavenger fodder post-display. Life endures via luminous gamete veils, fates adrift in gloom. Distant quakes vibrate our hull, hunters converge. One pair fractures free, spark fragile plunging further, transitions thread. Echoes persist as dance wanes, solo orbs like damned spirits haunting currents. Light's lexicon unveiled, yet phantoms linger. Alliance or ambush beneath sink. Tomorrow's ostracods stretch ancestral glows where shallows failed. Rituals transmute defenses to diversification engines, splitting via spectrum's prism. Females withdraw gravid, males dissolve in nature's ledger. Terror mild grips observers. What if our flares summon abyssal retorts? Glow fades, towing to nether voids. Final unison flare spotlights behemoths rousing underneath. Act 2 seals on brink, wonder incandescent. Symphony recedes to murmurs, overture to plummets profound. See fireflies tomorrow embody defiance, staging fate from void. Gametes voyage, fugitives flee, abyss counters. Fusion or guile fiercer ahead. Pressure surges. Beacons quenched. Yielding utterly theirs. Pulses sink visceral pulses. Reverence laced dread primeval. Drive abides. Estranged familiarly. Nocturnal eternal. Cathedral shades throb hungrier. What lurks? Plunge persists. Unraveling deep's taboo tryst next. Beneath the undulating waves of bioluminescent pulses lies a quieter, yet equally mesmerizing spectacle. The towering colonies of future deep-sea corallites. Imagine these vast living cathedrals, constructed over centuries by countless tiny polyps, rising from the silted floors like alien skyscrapers. Though hardened under immense pressure and molded by acidic waters, these colonial architects have perfected the art of reproduction in ways both grand and delicate. Unlike their solitary cousins, these corallites forge communities where the survival of 1,000 tiny lives depends on the synchrony of one ritual. What secrets do their mass spawning events hold? What ancient evolutionary whispers guide their timing so precisely? The answer lies in a dance of chemistry and subtle timing that defies the crushing darkness that surrounds them, a spectacle not witnessed by human eyes until recent times. In the twilight zones where light barely exists, these coral colonies have adapted a remarkable reproductive strategy called broadcast spawning. In this process, entire colonies, sometimes spread across kilometers, release buoyant bundles of eggs and sperm into the water simultaneously. The timing is as exact as clockwork, often linked to seasonal cycles or subtle environmental cues like temperature changes and ocean currents. Picture thousands of glowing capsules erupting at once, forming a drifting snowstorm of potential life. This synchronization maximizes fertilization chances but also challenges survival, as predators lurk hungry for drifting gametes amidst the cosmic dance. How do these corallites know when to unleash this fragile cloud? Scientists speculate ancient genetic clocks and environmental whispers meld in perfect harmony, a testament to resilience despite ever-changing seas. But the story deepens. Some colonies have evolved to become exclusively male or female, amplifying specialization in this vast reproductive orchestra. Female colonies swell with thousands of delicate eggs, each developed carefully over months or years, while males build up reserves of sperm to flood the waters in response. The pressure of survival sharpens this division of labor, balancing gamete quality with quantity. Larvae hatched from these unions are seemingly tiny miracles, some capable of swimming for days before settling on desolate seafloors to find a home. This delicate journey is often the first and only chance for these tiny pioneers to propagate their species. Could such vulnerability hide unexplored adaptations, or even haunting risks lurking beneath the seafloor? Scientists have begun to unravel these mysteries using deep-sea submersibles and time-lapse imaging, revealing staggering detail in reproductive cycles. Colonies show marked seasonal peaks, often late summer to early fall, a time when currents shift and food availability subtly changes. At these moments, the syncopated release happens en masse, nearly magical in its precision. Some species even brood, keeping their fertilized eggs internally until hatching, a strategy that shields early life stages from the abyss's many threats. This brooding is especially important in the future acidic oceans, where environmental stress challenges survival at every turn. How might these dual strategies, broadcast and brooding, shape the future biodiversity of deep coral reefs? Nature's resilience often hides behind such paradoxes. As larval clouds rise, drifting off into the vastness, they carry the promise of not just new life, but the future shape of their ecosystems. These coral descendants craft habitats that shelter myriad other species, fishes, crustaceans, and other benthic organisms struggling to survive in this alien environment. Their reproductive success directly impacts the entire food chain, a fragile balance where every larva matters. Yet these drifting bundles face peril. Swift currents scatter them, predators snap at the unwary, and chemical changes alter seawater itself. In the chilling quiet, one wonders, do unseen forces or deep-sea predators exploit these moments, turning hope into horror? How does this cycle of birth and death dictate the survival of these complex coral citadels on the edge of existence? One of the most fascinating aspects of these colonies is their longevity and reproductive persistence. Some deep corals grow at staggering slow rates but may live for centuries or even millennia, with reproductive maturity reached after decades. Their cycles are a slow dance with time, punctuated by rare but critical spawning events. In the future ocean, this patience becomes a survival advantage, buffering species against environmental upheaval. However, the cost of reproduction in such harsh conditions is high, energy reserves dwindle, and many individuals die post-spawning, their skeletons feeding the reef's structural base. These rhythms evoke reflection. In a timeless abyss, life's persistence seems almost defiant, each reproductive act echoing the resilience of evolution itself. But within this beauty lies a subtle horror. These synchronized spawning events also betray the lives of many. Predatory creatures sense the chance for an orgy of prey and swarm the sperm and egg clouds, feasting beneath the glittering veil of reproduction. Some deep-sea species even evolved to mimic the chemical signals of coral-like gametes, luring unsuspecting fertilized eggs to doom. This arms race between reproduction and predation shapes the future ocean's delicate balance. It reminds us that amid all the wonder and mystery, nature's cruelty and cunning never wane. Could this interplay drive rapid evolutionary change, fostering bizarre adaptations? The coral's glowing cathedral thus conceals both a sanctum and a hunting ground. As we finish this glimpse beneath the waves, we are left with this question. How will these ancient reproductive dances evolve under the hands of future climate scenarios? Ocean acidification and warming tides threaten coral physiology, potentially disrupting their fragile timing and reproductive success. Yet science and conservation hope to intervene, using technology to aid coral survival through captive breeding and transplantation. These efforts are a testament to human curiosity and care, underscoring the importance of understanding these deep-sea rituals. At the heart of it, the deep coral colonies remind us that even in the darkest places, life crafts enduring stories of connection, adaptation, and struggle for survival against all odds. As the drifting gametes from the coral-like cathedral swirl into the current, a shadow stirs in the periphery, drawn by the chemical perfume of desire turned vulnerability. Welcome to the predators of desire, those cunning opportunists of the future deep sea who have hijacked the very signals of love for their own savage feasts. These evolved parasites, sleek and insidious, mimic the bioluminescent pulses of courting pairs with eerie precision, luring the unwary into fong-lined embraces. What evolutionary treachery allows them to decode and counterfeit the language of light so flawlessly? In this acidic abyss, where scarcity hones every adaptation to a razor's edge, survival demands deception as much as display. Females heavy with promise swim blindly toward false beacons, their sensors overwhelmed by the onslaught of forged invitations. Males, exhausted from their luminous exertions, drift into ambushes disguised as safe harbors. The water thickens with tension, every glow now suspect, every pulse a potential trap. Our submersible lingers, hearts racing, as the first victim veers toward doom. These predators boast specialized photophores, stolen from ancestral lines and refined into weapons of seduction, venting light in rhythms stolen from honest suitors. Enzymes churn relentlessly, birthing blue-green illusions that slice through murk like siren songs from the void. Why mimic so perfectly, when crude aggression might suffice in endless night? Evolution favors subtlety here, where overt hunters starve amid sparse prey, forcing thieves to play the lover's game. One such fiend, a elongated descendant of viperfish, uncoils its lure, flashing the exact cadence of coral light spawn, rapid triplets fading to languid throbs. The deceived approaches, antennae questing, blind to the jaws yawning beneath the glow. Infection follows in milliseconds, barbs injecting neurotoxins that hijack the host's will, turning it into a puppet for larval delivery. Horror whispers. Is this mere predation, or a deeper possession of the soul? Laboratories of old glimpsed such tactics in shallow mimics, but future depths amplify the nightmare unbound. Deeper still, symbiotic horrors evolve, parasites burrowing into neural tissue to puppet entire reproductive cycles. Imagine a larval worm, spawned in the gamete snow, infiltrating a female's gland mid-courtship, rewriting her flashes to summon mates for its own brood. Males arrive en masse, drawn to the amplified signal, only to deposit sperm that nourishes alien young within. How does such manipulation evade the host's defenses, forged over eons against invaders? Genetic sabotage, perhaps, viruses co-opted as allies, silencing immune cries in the crush of pressure. The infected pulses erratically now, a mad symphony blending true desire with parasitic frenzy, ensnaring dozens in the web. Bodies entwine in grotesque parodies of union, hosts dissolving from within as larvae bloom. Dread coils tighter. In this realm, love's chemistry becomes a battlefield, every bond suspect. What if the grandest display masks the most ravenous infestation? The assault intensifies, predators schooling in the glow's penumbra, their collective mimicry drowning authentic calls in a cacophony of deceit. One colossal matriarch, bloated with stolen light organs, broadcasts empire-wide, her pulses enslaving swarms of lesser creatures into servitude. Females falter, selections poisoned by tainted cues, birthing hybrids doomed to the parasite cycle. Evolutionary arms races accelerate, honest signalers evolving counterflashes, subtle variances to unmask fakes amid the fray. Yet the predators adapt swifter, neural nets parsing nuances in real time, turning defense into fresh deception. Our view trembles as a cluster collapses, bodies writhing in luminescent agony, gametes devoured before fertilization. Questions haunt. Does mutual deceit drive speciation, splintering lineages into ever-stranger forms? The seafloor churns with fallout, husks littering the silt like fallen stars, priming the next horror. Amid the carnage, resilient strains emerge, their signals encrypted with chemical watermarks imperceptible to thieves, fleeting bonds forged in secrecy. Predators prowl futilely, jaws snapping at phantoms, while true pairs slip away into clefts. But victory proves fleeting. One survivor, grazed by a larval barb, carries mutation's seed, its offspring destined for hybrid vigor or monstrous twist. Why persist in such a hall of mirrors, where trust erodes like dissolving flesh? Nature's calculus demands it, reproduction's imperative overriding peril's shadow. Infected hosts wander as beacons eternal, summoning endlessly until collapse, their lights dimming to fevered flickers. Mild terror grips the observer. Every spark now evokes betrayal's chill. The current shifts, bearing witnesses toward deeper revelations, where desire's predators pale against fusion's abyss. Frenzy peaks in waves of false light crashing across the plain, parasites triumphant in their harvest of deceived hearts. Hosts tumble spent, innards hollowed for nurseries of the cunning, cycles renewing in merciless rhythm. What phantoms encode in these hijacked throbs? Commands to betray kin, lures for greater prey. Acidic futures cull the gullible, deception a blade carving worthy from weak. All wars with revulsion as toll mounts. Luminous clouds turn crimson with devoured promise. Distant tremors signal larger hunters, drawn by the chaos. One uninfected pair fractures free, mutations glinting ominous, threading transition's vein. Echoes of deceit linger as mimicry wanes, rogue pulses haunting currents like damned invitations. Desire's predators unveiled, phantoms persist, ruse or reckoning in sync skies. Future deep dwellers stretch ancestral ploys where shallows quailed. Manipulations transmute defenses to diversification crucibles, fracturing via deception's prism. Victims recede gravid or gutted, predators sated in nature's ledger. Unease grips voyeurs. What if our signals summon oceanic reprisals? False glows fade, hauling to profounder voids. Final counterfeit flare spotlights leviathans stirring beneath. Act 4 seals on precipice, intrigue incandescent. Deception's chorus recedes to murmurs, prelude to plunges profounder. Abyss's thieves embody cunning, scripting fate from falsity's forge. Clouds disperse, escapees evade, depths retort. Merger or malice deeper beckons. Pressure swells, authentic beacons quenched, capitulating fully theirs. Throbs align visceral throbs, reverence laced primal dread. Impulse endures, estranged kin-like, nocturnal perpetual. Shadows below throb voracious, what stalks? Dive endures, disentangling deeps prescribed passion successive. From the treacherous glows of predatory deceit, one scarred survivor emerges, its form twisted by the abyss's relentless forge, bearing mutations that whisper of unions far more intimate than fleeting encounters. This is the merging, the climactic horror beauty of future deep-sea mating where individuality dissolves in a symphony of flesh and desperation. Descendants of anglerfish lineage, these colossal entities no longer court with distant lights but fuse permanently, male and female becoming one grotesque, pulsating colony. What drives such erasure of self, when scarcity turns every meeting into a miracle too precious to squander? In this acidic void, where mates drift light years apart in oceanic terms, evolution decrees permanence over parting. The female, vast and predatory, dangles her bioluminescent lure, not to hunt prey but to summon her diminutive consort from the black. He arrives, tiny and resolute, enzymes priming his body for the ultimate surrender. Tissues soften, boundaries blur as he latches on, injecting his essence in a chemical kiss that binds forever. Our submersible quivers closer, awe clashing with revulsion at this living paradox. The process unfolds with eerie precision. Dwarf males, mere percentages of her mass, evolve jaws and hooks to clamp onto her flank, refusing release. Hormones flood, her immune system suppressed by ancient genetic pacts, welcoming the intruder as ally rather than foe. Blood vessels link first, nutrients flowing bidirectionally, his testes atrophying into perpetual sperm factories powered by her bounty. Why such radical parasitism, you ponder, when mutualism might suffice in kinder seas? Pressure and isolation demand totality here, fusion ensuring reproduction amid encounters rarer than comets. Luciferin pulses sink across shared nerves, their combined light a beacon deadlier than solo glows. Females bear multiple mates, dwarfed husbands clustered like barnacles, each a node in her reproductive hive. Horror seeps in, individuality lost, consciousness perhaps merging into a singular, alien mind. Scientists once puzzled over histocompatibility genes enabling this, but future strains amplify the nightmare unbound. Visualize the transformation. Skin welds seamlessly, scales merging in iridescent seams, a new organism born from obliteration of two. Nervous systems entwine, impulses firing in unison, her predatory hunts now fueled by his ceaseless contribution. Gametes form continuously within, no wasteful spawns into currents maw, efficiency honed to abyssal perfection. Do they feel joy in unity, or silent scream as self fades? Evolutionary calculus favors the fused, outlasting solitary seekers starved of chance. Bioluminescent displays evolve too, compound patterns flashing courtship to distant kin while masking the parasitic truth. Predators veer away, sensing the unnatural vigor of these amalgam beasts. Yet unease lingers. What dreams haunt this shared psyche? Memories of freedom drowned in fusion's tide? The seafloor trembles as she hunts, mates pulsing in rhythmic approval. Arms races accelerate, fused colonies speciating rapidly, lures diversifying into spectral symphonies that pierce deeper voids. Males evolve finer sensors, homing on pheromonal trails laced with light codes unique to lineage. Females grow vaster, immune tolerances broadening to host diverse dwarves, hybrid vigor birthing stranger progeny. How does such intimacy evade infection's grasp in bacterially fraught depths? Specialized microbiomes mediate, symbiotic bacteria granting glow and graft alike. Our gaze fixates on one titan, three husbands aglow, her form rippling with internal tides of creation. Questions swirl. Does fusion herald love's pinnacle or evolution's despair? Mild terror grips as boundaries dissolve before us, humanity's illusions of self mocked by ocean's decree. Transition beckons as this leviathan drifts, philosophical shadows lengthening. Climax builds in the merged embrace, tissues fully integrated, a superorganism pulsing with unified intent. Dwarf contributions ceaseless, her ovaries brimming eternal, larvae budding internally against perils without. Why brood thus when broadcast-suited ancestors? Scarcity's whip cracks, every egg guarded till viable, currents no longer arbiters of fate. Horror veils beauty, clustered mates, once autonomous, now vestigial lumps throbbing blindly. Shared bioluminescence flares, advertising prowess to afar while concealing the macabre core. Silhouettes of rivals circle warily, deterred by the fused's unnatural might. One larva escapes, minuscule scout into the dark, carrying dual legacies entwined. The colony shudders, sated, plunging deeper still. Unity peaks in symbiotic blaze across the chasm, fusions triumphant in harvest of perpetual chance. Hosts dissolve obsolete, innards repurposed for eternity's nurseries, rhythms merciless. What enigmas pulse in merged throbs? Ancestral echoes, dominance bids, unity's veiled lament. Acidic tomorrows cull the separate, merger blade carving fused from frail. Reverence battles abhorrence as price unveils. Solo dreamers wither, amalgam endures. Seismic hints presage greater stirrings below. Singular entity cleaves onward, legacy glinting profound, weaving climaxes thread. Fusion's vestiges linger as throbs unify, rogue unities haunting flows like amalgam ghosts. Mergings macabre unveiled, specters abide, erasure or apotheosis in bonds veil. Tomorrow's deep kins stretch solitary plights where shallows spared. Integrations transmute isolation to diversification forges, cleaving via fusion's lens. Singulars recede gravid infinite, components eternal in nature's sum. Chill grips gazers. What if our connections summon oceanic absolutions? Compound glows wane, drawing to uttermost voids. Ultimate shared flare illuminates colossi rousing nether. Act 5 crests on verge, enigma radiant. Integration's anthem fades to susurrus, overture to descent's uttermost. Abyss's welders incarnate totality, scripting perpetuity from dissolution's kiln. Legacies propagate, amalgam evades, profundity reposts. Singularity or severer stratagems impend. Compression mounts, solo signals silenced, yielding wholly theirs. Unified throbs attune visceral cores, veneration twined primordial qualm. Urge persists, estranged intimately, tenebrous unending. Nether expanses palpitate insatiate. What impends? Submersion sustains, unspooling deep's interdicted liaison ultimate. As the fused leviathan drifts into the profounder black, its pulsing lights casting elongated shadows across a landscape of alien splendor, we arrive at the endless courtship, the relentless symphony of life's unyielding drive in eternal night. Here, bioluminescent cathedrals throb with synchronized spawns, parasitic glows weave deceptions, and merged colonies glide as unified horrors, all testaments to reproduction's ancient imperative. What compels these future deep-sea kin to persist amid isolation's tyranny, where encounters span abyssal eons? Gamete snows drift endlessly, fusing in current's lottery, birthing larvae armored for the void's gauntlet. Fused titans brood internally, releasing broods timed to lunar whispers long forgotten on the surface. Predatory mimics patrol peripheries, their false signals harvesting the unwary in perpetual harvest. Scavengers sift the seafloor's detritus, recycling spent husks into substrates for new rituals. Our submersible hovers amid this tableau, awe swelling with the chill realization that this dance knows no finale. In this transformed ocean, courtship cycles eternally, a horror beauty etched in light and flesh. Picture the panorama. Coralite spires, evolved under acidification's lash, pulse with mass ejections, eggs and sperm blooming in luminous veils that span horizons. Why synchronize thus, defying entropy's pull in pressure-cooked depths? Genetic clocks, honed by millennia, align to tidal rhythms, currents ferrying clouds toward uncertain nurseries. Ostracod fireflies reignite nightly, mucus orbs entraining hordes in azure raves, females selecting amid the frenzy's cull. Fusion colonies dominate midwaters, their compound lures flashing spectra that pierce murk, advertising perpetual fertility to dwarf seekers. Males latch in chemical rapture, dissolving into harems of 5 or 8, bodies atrophying to sperm sacs nourished by maternal blood. Horror tinges the vista, individuality sacrificed, consciousnesses perhaps blending into hive murmurs. Yet life proliferates, larvae hatching in synchronized waves, colonizing ruins of ancient reefs. Questions linger. Does this eternity mock our fleeting bonds, or mirror them in extremis? The cycle renews relentlessly, predators of desire schooling anew, photophores priming mimicry codes stolen from honest lineages. One matriarch unfurls her deceptive blaze, luring gravid survivors into venomous clasp, larvae burrowing to puppet future displays. How does such parasitism evade counter-evolution's blade, thriving in arms races without end? Future strains speciate wildly, signals diversifying into private dialects, brief alliances forged before dissolution. Fused behemoths hunt ceaselessly, Esca wands dangling symbiotic bacteria's glow, ensnaring prey to fuel endless gestation. Females bear scars of multiple mergers, immune tolerances granting promiscuity's boon, broods hybrid vigorous against scarcity. Mild dread suffuses the scene. Every light betrays potential doom, every union a prelude to erasure. Scavengers trail in wakes, mandibles clicking on cast-off gametes, closing loops of consumption and renewal. Our lights dim, surrendering to their nocturnal ballet. Deeper revelations unfold in brooding enclaves, where corals nurture planuli internally, releasing them armored against chemical siege. Why hoard thus, when broadcast-fed ancestors booms? Isolation demands certainty, every larva a gamble too costly for diffusion. Angler airs amplify this, internal wombs pulsing with ceaseless production, males' vestiges throbbing in eternal service. Philosophical shadows lengthen. In unity's forge, self dissolves for species gain, evolution's calculus indifferent to sentience. Bioluminescent symphonies swell across strata, twilight zones igniting in courtship cascades visible from abyssal plains. Predators adapt too, counterlures evolving to intercept broods mid-release, turning nurseries into battlegrounds. A battle's revulsion as patterns repeat, infinite variations on desire's theme. What unseen architects orchestrate this harmony from chaos's maw? Climax echoes in perpetual throbs, ecosystems sustained by romance's runoff, food webs woven from game-tick excess. Fusions drift as nomadic hives, spawning trails marking passages through the black. Why endure such grotesquerie, when kinder fates beckon shallows? Abyss's homogeneity breeds extremity, mates rarer than stars, demanding bonds unbreakable. Horror veils poetry, merged psyches dreaming dual lives, flashes encoding shared lore. Larval clouds ascend, metamorphosing en route, settling to erect new cathedrals in silt. Mimics feast peripherally, their triumphs fueling further deceptions in vicious helix. One brood survives the gauntlet, mutation's glinting promise, threading eternity's chain. Harmony peaks in luminous propagation across the void, kin triumphant in harvest of unceasing lineage. Cycles devour obsolete, innards repurposed for perpetuity's cradles, tempos inexorable. What riddles throb in endless codes? Survival's hymns, extinction's dirges, connection's veiled ache. Acidic epochs select the tenacious, ritual blade hewing persistent from perishable. Reverence contends abhorrence as levy bears. Dreamers solitary perish, collectives prevail. Subtle quakes herald colossal courtships below. Infinite choir cleaves eternal, heritage shimmering sublime, interlacing finale's filament. Vestiges of rite persist as symphonies unify, aberrant unities haunting fluxes like spectral cotillions. Endless courtships enigma unveiled, apparitions endure. Perpetuity or perdition in rhythm's shroud. Moros abyssals extend ephemeral quests where lit realms relented. Perpetuations transfigure solitude to speciation anvils, rending through ritual spectrum. Collectives retreat fecund boundless, fragments timeless in cosmos tally. Unearthliness seizes beholders. What if our broadcasts evoke abyssal absolutions? Composite radiances ebb, luring to consummate chasms. Paramount concordant blaze spotlights primordials awakening beneath. Act 6 consummates on threshold, marvel resplendent. Anthems susurrus trails to infinity, coda to immersions consummate. Void's paramours embody indefatigability, authoring perpetuity from persistence's pyre. Broods disseminate, ensembles elude, profundity rejoins. Absolution or abysser artifices loom. Oppression amplifies, discreet summons muted, exceeding wholly theirs. Collective throbs synchronize somatic essences. Adoration braided primordial trepidation. Compulsion abides, alienated intimately, obsidian interminable. Ultimate expanses pulsate ravenous. What anticipates? Immersion infinite, untwining deeps sanctified liaison consummate.